Hello students, welcome back to your science class. So student, in the previous class, we have completed the chapter that is control and coordination, and in the control and coordination students, we came to know that how our central nervous system as well as how our endocrine system, it actually works together. Okay. So we have understood students that our central nervous system basically it carries the brain. It is actually having the part that is called a spinal cord, and the nerves are there. These nerves they together they help in the brain, means they used to give information to the brain as well as to the spinal cord, and the spinal cord and the brain they used to interpret, and again they give this information to the nerves, and that will be means it will goes to the effector place. So this is how the information is carried out, and information is carried from the nerves, from the stimulus, from the receptor to the brain, and from the brain to the effector. We have also seen that not only our central nervous system student, but also our endocrine system, that is also responsible for controlling and coordinating. How? You see, if we talk about the central nervous system, we said that every information is given to the brain and the brain work accordingly. Same thing with that of the hormones. Our hormones used to control the activity of the human, activity of the person, activity of the living organism. So different kind of a hormones which is released by different kind of a glands, they used to work together, they used to constitute, and ultimately they go to the target area where they have to work. So this is how our central nervous system and our endocrine system are basically responsible for coordinating and controlling the life activities of an animal. What about in case of a plant students? So we have seen that in case of a plant, there is no specialized central nervous system or a nervous system is there, but they are having hormones, and these hormones are called as phytohormones. Phytohormones are of four types: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinins, and abscisic acid. These all four different types of hormones are responsible for the kind of a movement shown by the plant. Means they mainly coordinate, or they mainly control the movement. So out of the four, the one, auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinins, they are there to promote the growth of the plant. While the abscisic acid, it is growth inhibitor. Now the movement occur, it can be towards the direction of the stimulus, because how the movement occur in case of a plant student, it occur because of the presence of the stimulus. So if the movement is in the direction, towards the direction of the stimulus, then that is called as the tropic movement, and if it occur anywhere, that will be nastic movement. Now, tropic movement, also called as a tropism, is divided into different types of a stimulus. And if the object is moving, if the part of the plant is moving towards the direction of the stimulus, that will be the positive. If it is away, then that will be the negative. Understood? So, this is how we had seen that how tropic movement occur in case of the plant, and how the plant movement occur in the movement occur in the plant with the help of the hormones. Now, today we will start with a new chapter students, and we will try to understand this chapter, which is human eye and colorful world. Although this chapter has been included into the same topic, that is some natural phenomena, and in this one we had completed with the reflection of light and refraction of the light. Today we will continue with the reflection of the light student, and try to understand that how reflection occur in case of a prism. You see, when we were talking about the reflection in case of glass, like that of the glass slab, we have seen that what happened when a beam of a light falls on it and how the reflection occurs here. Now let us see that how reflection occur in the prism, how reflection or multiple reflection causes the different kind of effects. So we will also understand that what are the applications of the reflection. as well as we will try to understand the eye movement, also the defect of the vision, which will include the hypermetropia, metropia, presbyopia, cataract. These all are what? These all are the defect of vision. So let us start with the first topic, student, and that is reflection occurs in the case of a prism, which we also called as dispersion of light. So, refraction of light through prism. Okay, refraction of light through prism. What kind of a refraction occur, or how refraction occur in case of a prism? When you look at the structure of the prism, it will be like, it's a kind of a triangular like a structure, students. This is the 2D structure of the prism. So it will be like that is prism. Okay. So we can define here prism is what? Prism is a homogeneous, it is a homogeneous transparent refracting surface, transparent refracting surface, transparent refracting surface bounded by at least two non-parallel surface inclined at some angle. Now you see here, what does that mean? It means it is what? It is a homogeneous and transparent reflective surface. Since it is made up of a glass, student, obviously it will be a transparent medium. Since the glass is what is having a kind of a refractive index, so obviously we will say that it is what is a transparent refracting surface, and it is bounded by two non-parallel surfaces. What does that mean, students? When we were discussing about the glass lamp, remember, you know that a glass lamp is what is a rectangular shape. So there the two surfaces are parallel to each other. But in case of a prism, students, you will find that the surfaces are not parallel to each other. So that is why here it is said that it must at least have a two non-parallel surface which is inclined at an angle. So when you look at the surface, you will find that there is an angle between the two surfaces. Okay, two non-parallel surfaces. Now the angle between two non-parallel refracting surface, non-parallel reflecting surface is called angle of prism. It is called as angle of a prism, or even it is also called as refracting angle. Okay, that is also called as a refracting angle, students. Okay, so this is about that of the prism. Now let us move and see that how the dispersion happens here in case of the prism. In this class, students, when we are talking about the prismal reflection, there is an experiment in which you have to calculate the angle of deviation here instead of calculating the angle of emergence. Remember when we were talking in case of a glass slab, there when a ray of a light falls on the surface, it get reflected first and finally it get emergent. So actually this reflection which occurs, this is the angle of incidence, this is angle of refraction and this is angle of emergence. So we have to calculate what is the angle of emergence and see what is the angle of an incidence. But here in this case, it means in case of a prism, we will instead of looking at the emergence, we will see the angle of a deviation. That we will discuss later on. Till that, let us see that how dispersion of a white light occur in case of the prism. How dispersion occur in case of a prism. So what happened when in a prism, when a white light, suppose this is what, this is a white light, this is also the incident ray, student. So if suppose you will make a normal from this place, so it will be the normal, right? This will be the normal, students, and this will be the refracting angle. Okay. Now here, this white light, it will get after that, it will get dispersed also into different light. It will get dispersed also into different light. And what are that, students? That will, if suppose you had kept the white screen here, if suppose you had kept a white screen, so all of the rays will fall on it, and here what you will find that is it will give the different kind of a color also, and that will be, this is a white screen. And the color, the first of all the color is of violet, which is represented by V, indigo, then blue, then green, then yellow, then orange, and then red. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Okay, these are the different kind of a color, different kind of a 7 color came out of it. Actually from the white light, when a white light falls on the prism, it gets scattered or dispersed into the 7 color, and this 7 color is represented by Vibgyu. Okay, so I hope you have understood this concept. Suppose students, this is actually the white light. Now see here, if there will be no prism, then what happened? It will move easily without showing any kind of a deviation from this path. The deviation occurs because of the change in the refractive index. You all know that when a light ray starts moving from one medium to another, it shows the refraction. So before that it was in an air, and then it entered into the glass for refraction. The refractive index changes, so it gets bent, and due to which the light it dispersed into the 7 different colors. Now let us see that what happens here. So when a white light passes through a glass prism. Passes through a glass prism. We get a band of 7 colors. We get a band of 7 colors on the white screen. And these are, the color obtained are Vibgyo, that is violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Okay, these are what? These are the 7 colors which came out from that white. Now, the phenomenon in which such a splitting of the white light occurs into the 7 band of color, that is called as dispersion of light. So, the phenomenon of splitting white light, splitting white light into 7 colors, is called as dispersion. Okay, this is called as dispersion. This is called as dispersion, students. Okay. Now here we will talk that what is the cause of dispersion. Why the white light which is coming from the air will enter into the glass and split into the 7 color. What happens, students? Actually the reason is all the different colors which is the part of the white light, which is present in the white light, it is having different wavelength. Wavelength decides the speed, velocity of the light. It means if the wavelength of a particular color is more, the speed of the light of that particular color will be more. If wavelength is less, the speed will also be less. Here, the wavelength of the red is more than the wavelength of the violet. Thus, the movement of the red color is faster than the other. Similarly, the other colors are also having different kind of a wavelength, and different kind of a wavelength makes it to move with a different speed. And you know that if it is a different speed, so they will reach to the other end of the glass prism at a different time, and ultimately they will get split into 7 colors. Understood? So, causes of dispersion. Basically, we can say that white light, is a mixture of 7 colors. It is what? It is a mixture of 7 colors, and you know that what are the different colors. Now what happened? Each color Each color has its own wavelength. Has its own wavelength. And like we can say that the wavelength of red is longest. Than the orange. Than the orange. Okay. Larger the wavelength, larger will be the speed. Larger the wavelength, larger will be the speed. So, if the wavelength of a color is large, if the wavelength of the color is large, so speed will also be large. So the speed will also be large. Okay. So we can say here that, so all the colors, they start moving with a different speed, and due to which they refracted at a different amount. So we can say that is all the color of the white light, all the color of the white light, color of the white light are refracted by different amount, while passing through the prism. While passing through the prism. Okay. Therefore, they get separated into the different constituents. Now here student, an activity is also there in order to find the angle of a deviation with the help of the prism. Okay. So for that, let me tell you what we have to do in order to find the angle of deviation. So for that, first of all, see, this is the prism. Okay. We will give the name to this prism. This is A. Let me draw it bigger one. So, this is A, this is B, and this is C. Suppose we have taken two pins and we had kept the pins inclined to that of the prism, to the face, that is AB. Suppose that is B and C. This is B and this is C. Now from this angle, students, you have to look at the pin which is placed at B and C, and you must have two pins also, in which you will going to keep it at this position. And remember that whenever you will keep it, you must ensure that you will keep the pin in such a place that all the line, that is BC, and if suppose you are keeping a pin here, and this is what, this is H and this is I. So this HI and BC, when you look at from the AC side, it will comes as a straight line. Obviously, you will whenever you will do it, you will find that it is really just a straight line. Okay. Now what happened? Afterward, you just remove all the pins which you had attached with. I'm again repeating. First of all, you have to put you have to take two paper pin, and keep the glass prism. Keep the glass prism on the paper, on a sheet of paper, and with the help of the HB pencil, mark the boundary also of the prism. Okay. Still, you do not have to remove the glass prism also. Now, you just keep two pins at one side of the prism. Okay, both should be straight, both should be in a straight line. Okay, making an angle with that of the prism. Now, when you look at it from the other side, again take two pins and look it from the other side, that is from AC, and you will find, now you have to put the pin in such a way that BC and HI all will come in a straight line. Okay, then you have to put the pins at that two places. Now you have to remove everything, the pin also as well as the glass prism also. Now make a line, extend this line, join this BC and extend this line. So this is what, this was B and this was, suppose it was C. So we had extended a line. Now what happened here, also the same thing. This is what? This is H and this is I. Now we will join these two lines also together. We will join the two lines together, and this is what? This is E and this is G. Now make it normal at both the sides, students. So it will be N and dash, and this will be N1 and N1 dash. Okay, N1 and N1 dash. Now see the angle. The angle, which angle, students? Angle made by N1 EC. This is E. So angle made by NEC. This angle. Okay, let us find this angle. This is what? This is the angle of incidence, the angle made by the normal and the incident ray. And also find the another one, that is angle N1 dash GH. This will be what? This will be what? Angle of refraction. This is the angle of refraction. One is angle of incidence and one, sorry, angle of emergence, because the refraction will be this one. This will be the refraction. This is what? This is the angle of emergent. Now what you have to do afterward? Produce this emergent ray. This is what? This is the emergent ray. This is what? This is the refracted ray and this is the incident ray. When you produce this emergent ray backward and this incident ray also, at a place they will cross each other. At a certain point, both of them will cross each other. Now this is what? This is the angle of deviation. Okay? So this is what, if suppose this is what, student? This will be the angle of deviation represented by capital D. Okay? This is angle of deviation of the incident ray. So you have to find that what is the angle of deviation. If this is O, students, so obviously EO, if this is P. So EOP, or we can say O, this is O, this is X. So XOP. This is what? This is the angle of deviation. This is how you have to find out the angle of deviation of the glass prism. See, students, whenever you will going to find this, the angle of a deviation, you have to do this for 2 to 3 times, and then collectively you will get the value of the angle of deviation also. Okay, this is how you can get the angle of a deviation. Okay.